first time you open TVC after installing buildings, you will see here a new ribbon tab, the buildings one, and probably you see a different order here. They will not be in the proper order, which should be this one. So building, settings, layers, wall, door, window, etc. And then seen here, so, settings, floor plan, section and elevation, and tools. So depending, in my case, I have a mix of several things, therefore I don't see that. And if you don't see in this order, you can check the online help and then check how to reset the buildings ribbon, so until you see it as this. So we would check the settings, choose the proper language that you want to use, store, and then we would delete the buildings dict2 file, and then we will reset to defaults. I'm going to do it once here so you can see it. So we can go to here, we see under the installation folder this file dict2, buildings dict2, we remove it, we go to TVC and go to support, set ribbon tabs, then we say reset to defaults, so all the ribbons will be resetted to the defaults. And it could happen that you have buildings and additional things hidden, so we can check which ones we want to see. For me, for example, I'm hiding some of them that I don't need for my typical workflows. Okay, and then we can check on the buildings if we see it properly, and if it's okay, fine. If not, we have in some cases to close TVC and restart TVC. In some other cases, again, removing the buildings dict2 file and resetting the tabs, etc. Before starting showing you the different functions, I would recommend you to create your own toolbar or toolbars. In my case, I usually work with 2 toolbars. In order to do that, you need to open the command window by tapping this icon or just pressing F12. So you open this, and depending on your TVC language that you have set, you have to call a different command. For example, for the English one, you start typing customize, and you see here customize tools. And depending on, as I said, for German is extras anpassen, for French is something like personalization, whatever, and it should be something like personalization. So we open this, and we see we don't have any toolbar yet, so we create 2 of them. I create one called buildings 1, and I'm creating it firstly floating, okay, and then before adding commands to this, so I just go to options, and I recommend to use large icons, and then we could move to the commands. So we could go, for example, I like to start with all commands, for example, and start with moving this save project to there, and then I like to use, for example, the zoom functions or the view functions, for example, for zoom extension and zoom window. This you can obviously customize it to your wishes. And then I also like to put here the different quick views from the top, from the left, from the right, from the back, etc. And then we can reposition it like this. And for example, from now I like to use, for example, the point cloud ones, which are very useful. So we go in this direction, and we'll look for the corresponding tools. You can also order them alphabetically, but in my case I prefer to use it this way because I know more or less where they are. So the first thing that I would use is showing grayscale, showing intensity, and showing real color. This is something that I'm using very much. And then the next thing that I would use for my point clouds, for changing very quickly between the views that I want to see, is the next one is showing the no shading, normal shading, and ambient shading. And a very useful function is see all, see inside, and see outline if you have the scanning module. If not, these functions will not be available. And then after that we can use whatever we want, but for example, let's keep this one. I just put it here, fix, and I create a different one just with this button in order to be quicker, and not if I have changed something here, I don't need to go to the buildings tab. So we create a new one, new buildings 2, also floating, and then as commands we go to the macro language, and then we move this in this order: layers, wall, door, window, column, beam, symbol, stair, levels, section, elevation, vertical symbol, rename scans, building explorer, room properties, and the info function. So we can, before we close it, we can place it also here. So if we are working with different monitors, we are not having issues losing this from the other monitor or whatever. And if we want to record it, or just even to pass it through different computers, we can go here, create a new one, for example, test new, and then we say save. So we would save the current menus and ribbons and custom toolbars, etc., on the corresponding folder that we saw before. So we go to this one, so under this 38.0 in this case, so you see these two files, and then you could just copy it to another computer, to the same folder. So we would go here, if we have another one, and go to the customize tools. We would go to save load, we will pick the corresponding one, the text new, and load. So we don't need to create them anytime. So once we have created this, we will be able to quickly change between the views, the grayscale, and or intensity, or real color, or if we don't see something here very quickly, so see all or see inside, so we don't see the ceiling, and we can pick the points on the floor, and then we activate see all, so we could pick the point on the ceiling, or if we want to draw a bit more comfortable, so we can pick the outline and then use this view to pick whatever elements we need to create. Okay, so I also recommend you to work with view filters. So if you are not familiar with the view filters, please have a look at that, and because it will be very useful for creating the different floor plans and sections and elevations, whatever.